Hi friends, good to see you. We are live. Rusty here with you here at Central Florida Weather Live on this Thursday late afternoon as we roll into the early evening hours. It's been a little while, hasn't it? It's been a couple of weeks here, but again, only come on when there are storms to track for you guys live, and that's exactly what's been happening. If you hopefully were continuing to follow the page, I posted earlier today that there was a good chance that I would be coming on later because of the activity that I expected to see here. The Storm Prediction Center actually upgraded a lot of Central Florida into a slight risk for severe storms, and they're becoming more numerous in nature here as we roll past the 6 o'clock hour. So we'll kind of get into it here. And again, you're looking at our live radar, and you're looking at the severe thunderstorm warnings and the special weather statements. Now on this system, the reds indicate your severe thunderstorm warnings. The yellows are your special weather statements. We've seen our friend the sea breeze kick on, and then storms have been developing inland and pushing back off towards the east. So that's the main scenario here. We're going to go up and down the line. We'll start off with what's happening right now on the far northern sides of Lake County and into the eastern sides of Volusia County. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is currently in effect for that area. It goes for the next 28 minutes. Again, you can clearly see that here on our weather warning system. The main threats are going to be highlighted as well. It's winds of 60 miles an hour and some inch-sized hail. That is quarter-sized hail on the scale, and both of those are severe thunderstorm criteria. You get the winds of 60 miles an hour, you get inch-sized hail or larger. That's going to prompt a severe thunderstorm warning from the National Weather Service. Certainly the core of this storm right now is back into Lake County, right over the Astor area and just off towards the south. And again, this will continue to work its way fairly quickly off towards the east. Let's get some information on this storm. I'm going to click on that. We have DeLeon Springs in the path of that cell in about the next 19 minutes. And again, with my system in this cone, I can simply track this out to any point in time here. So again, as we get towards DeLeon Springs, you can see the time of arrival there based on the movement. And again, we're picking it up from that core. And when you see those flashing areas, guys, those purples, those fuchsias, that aqua and that white, that is really high reflectivity, indicative of either some extremely heavy rain or more than likely in this scenario, some hail as well. So going to be monitoring that for you right now. Don't have a hail signature on that one there on the algorithm, but that's something I'm going to closely monitor for you guys. So this is our first severe thunderstorm warning, which again is moving out of Lake County and into interior portions of Volusia County, including the DeLeon Springs area, in just the next 19 minutes. And again, you got a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. I'm happy to answer that, but we're just going to keep following this line down. And really within just like the last 15 minutes, these storms have gotten going. We've had some pretty nasty weather over the Lake Helen area, back off towards the east, 415, of course, Osteen here on 415. We've got Orange City. And again, in the red, that's our polygons for the severe thunderstorm warning. So the southern edge of that is going to be Orange City, but numerous storms continue to develop here. They're just becoming more widespread. Scattered showers for Deltona. This is a pretty decent storm on the southeast side of Sanford near the airport. Again, main threats are hail and wind. We're not really too concerned about rotation, at least at this point in time, but we could have some downburst winds of over 60 miles an hour. And again, some coin-sized hail. Could be anywhere from your dime to your penny, but maybe even some nickel and quarter-sized hail. So those are the main threats here as we get rolling through the rest of this Thursday. And some of this could linger pretty close to sunset for tonight. So the next 2 hours or so is where we're going to have probably our worst weather. Special weather statement is currently in effect for portions of Cibolo County, including the Oviedo area and Chuliota. Again, this one is moving off towards the east and moving off relatively slowly. Now, this might miss Chuliota to the north, but generally speaking, it's going to slide off to the east. And you can see there on the eastern sides of Oviedo, that is, again, high reflectivity. The opportunity when this is flashing here in the system to get some hail out of that storm. So I'm going to be watching that as well. I'm going to go back over to the broad perspective here, guys. Give me just 1 second. I want to make sure we get on our storm tracks as well. All right, let's see here. Okay, so now I'm going to bring those on, and let me get rid of... Let's do that. Okay, perfect. All right. So now we have, so you can see now what I've told the computer to do is we can look at it just like this, which is what I wanted to do. So again, you can see this storm just south of Astor. We've got hail detected, 100% probability, a 50% chance of severe hail, and severe hail is an inch in size, that's quarter size, or larger, and this is pinging up to maybe 1.75. So this is a very intense cell right now, moving just south of the Astor area. And again, if you live in De Leon Springs, or you know anyone who lives in this area, really in between DeLand and De Leon Springs, give them a heads up that this is a nasty storm that's trying to work their way off towards the area. Ramona says SFB, area of hail. Rusty says it's possible. Yeah, absolutely. There's an opportunity. Ramona, and again, some of these cores are still developing, but in the most intense parts of these storms, the hail potential is going to be there for today. That is one thing in the atmosphere. Looking at the dynamics here, we had some cooler air aloft. We have what we call steep lapse rates. It's going to allow these storms to get into an area where hail formation could occur. And we're seeing that kind of rapidly intensify in a couple of spots. So again, just back over here, now that I can query this a little bit easier, we can see again, this cell, as I mentioned, could slip just west of Chulioto, but you can also see the movement. And you notice on this one, as it's just developing, we're seeing a very slow storm speed. Generally speaking, most of these are going to have faster speeds than that moving across the area. But again, we'll be monitoring that one. It is getting out of the Oviedo area, though. That is good news. But there's your special weather statement. And it does include portions of the northern sides of Orange County towards the UCF area. There's University Park right there. But this storm, generally speaking, the most intense part is going to be going into Seminole County. Again, we're live here, Central Florida Weather Live. Good to see you. It's been a couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning back in, guys. I appreciate you. Again, we're watching these storms building in live for you. We'll go off towards the south, and then we'll talk about all these special weather statements. So again, in red is your severe thunderstorm warning. Now this is a complex of very nasty storms. This is one that I'm going to be watching here until it begins to wind down. The decent piece of news is we are in far southern Osceola County. We're actually north of Yeehaw Junction. Here is the turnpike. That's 91 on the screen, 441 of course as well. But this one is a pretty nasty storm. And what I'll be tracking is how far north and east this goes, because if it holds together, it could be trying to get in some areas that is obviously populated. You can see the potential times of arrival here on your screen back into Brevard County. And the severe thunderstorm warning only goes for the next 21 minutes. But if they hold together, we would be looking at portions of Brevard County to see some of those storms moving through. Ramona says, yeah, my sister just texted, said, CK, the temps. You'll have to let me know what that means, Ramona. But I appreciate you chiming in, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in as well. So again, don't be shocked if you hear some rumbles of thunder out there. These storms are really beginning to ramp up. But this is just a huge cluster of storms right now in the rural sides of southern Osceola County. And again, where you see those flashing colors, in our computer system here is just showing you the hail sizes are getting even larger, potentially even up to 2 inches. Now, that could be congested with a little bit of very heavy rain, but certainly at least an inch-sized hail out of this, which is also prompting the severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll put a pin in this for now, because thankfully it's out there in relatively rural areas. But if it gets over 192, or if it gets into the western sides of Brevard County, you know I'm going to be monitoring that, because again, that's kind of the largest cluster of storms to watch out for. Now, we just continue to see additional special weather statements issued from the National Weather Service, and this one is going to be sneaking into the far northwest sides of Osceola County and then the far southwest sides of Orange County. And again, it's for this cell right here, and it is moving off towards the north and to the east. So our friends in the attractions area right now, the rain is beginning to fall over Lake Buena Vista, but there does appear to be a stronger storm at least coming in your general direction. Again, you can see those fuchsias there. That's going to be some very heavy rain. That's going to be the potential for some hail. It's about ready to cross 27. And again, the special weather statement is for 50-mile-an-hour winds and some half-inch size hail. Again, you don't have to have a severe thunderstorm warning to get some hail out of these things. They just may not be big enough, but you can see the intersection of all of these special weather statements. So the bottom line is Osceola County, it's going to get stormy on the northern side. Places like Kissimmee and Campbell and St. Cloud, we're going to generally see non-severe weather, but heavy rain, lightning, and maybe even some smaller sized hail. You go up the road into the southern sides of Orange County across the I-4 corridor towards Lake Buena Vista and I-Drive, the attractions area, it's going to be heavier. There's some really heavy rain right now across the 429. You can see all of that activity from Winter Garden down towards Hamlin and south towards the Western Way area there. So anyone driving the 429, the Western Beltway there in the western sides of Orange County, it's wet. It's not a severe storm. There's not a special weather statement, but some of this is beginning to slip into places like Windermere. Windermere's already had a couple of storms earlier this afternoon. Again, all of those were non-severe. Back out to the broad perspective, and again, just kind of show you what's happening here. I'm going to put on the categorical risks here. We'll take a look at this. So again, the Storm Prediction Center, a little bit earlier today, upgraded all of the central and the eastern portions of our viewing area into the category 2, the slight risk. So that's why I made that post saying more than likely I'm going to be on later today because this intensity looks to be coming up a little bit. So that's the overall risk. It is more marginal off towards the west. And I think the Storm Prediction Center has done a great job. There was a couple of nastier storms down in the far southwest sides of Polk County earlier, but all of that activity is now basically in these areas in yellow. Now, as far as the actual what could we see here probability wise? It's good to show that there's no tornado risk from the Storm Prediction Center. But when we look at the hail probability, you can see it's the same areas that are shaded in that higher range for potential hail. And then when we look at wind, you're going to see that those wind probabilities expand out even a little bit more. But it's the same areas that we have the slight risk. Again, it's wind and hail that are going to be the main threats across the area. So again, 627, we're watching a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings for you guys. Great to see you watching. Thanks for tuning in. Again, it's been a couple of weeks, but as I've said, I'm only going to come on and do this live when there is a reason to be on live. That way you know when you get that notification, Rusty's got something I need to tune into and see what's going on. Love to hear from you guys. Drop it in the comments section. Just say hi. Appreciate that. Again, if you're not a subscriber as of yet, thanks for joining us here at Central Florida Weather Live. We are a live-only station. I track these storms for you live, and we're on until the threat is gone. So again, we'll go back up to the storms. Now, I also want to mention there's been some decent storms in portions of Flagler County. It was a little bit more intense north of Palm Coast, but still some scattered showers. And the other thing I'm going to do real quickly here is just let me put this into motion real fast, just so we can get an idea of the movement of these storms. And again, generally speaking, everything is moving east. There might be a little bit of a northerly turn to some of this as it builds, but generally speaking, we're going to try and back build these storms towards the east. So the point I'm trying to make here is that this activity is yet to come through the Metro Orlando area, and more than likely will, especially from the 408 to the south. So if you live in Orange County, along the 408 in downtown Orlando south, more than likely you are going to get into some of this. It's not a severe thunderstorm, it's not a special weather statement, but it is a nastier cell. And again, we'll be watching this cell moving into the eastern sides of Osceola County and what it might do in western sides of Brevard County, because again, this is a considerable complex of storms with some heavy rain and certainly the potential for some hail embedded within that. And again, all the yellows are your special weather statements here. We'll follow this storm up in portions of far northeastern sides of Orange County, but mainly into the eastern sides of Seminole County. That cell did kind of dive towards Chuliota, but hopefully we're losing some of the intensity. You can see that over the last half hour, and that's what this loop is over the last half hour. We've seen some of that intensity come down a little bit, but Chuliota still 40-mile-an-hour winds and some quarter-sized hail possible. Rain beginning to break out right now for our friends in Winter Springs and Longwood and Castleberry. Those folks still trying to drive 4 and US 92 trying to get home, more than likely dealing with some rain there. It's becoming more intense in the Sanford area, and we do have a new special weather statement. So let me pause this real quick and we'll get to the live time. So we do have a new special weather statement, and it does include Orange City and Deltona and Sanford and Lake Mary, 40-mile-an-hour winds and some quarter-inch sized hail with that one. And another one that has been extended out to now include the 415 in the Osteen area as well. Again, quarter-inch sized hail possible with that. And again, over the next 40 minutes or so. Let me see here. Let me just reset one thing real quick, guys. Bring back on the radar. Okay, there we go. Every so often we lose our time of expire, and I want to make sure that that's always out there. So again, in the red, we're tracking a severe thunderstorm. And I got to tell you, this is a very, very intense storm right now. It still is in the middle of nowhere. I don't think it's going south and west, but we'll take a look at what this is showing us here. More than likely, this is moving off towards the east. And every so often, when these cells aren't moving very quickly, the erratic movement, and especially when we're hitting the sea breeze, can cause the radar to believe it's going in a different direction. But in general, these storms are moving off towards the east. So the bottom line is De Leon Springs needs to get prepared for that. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning goes for 13 more minutes, but if this cell continues to stay at the strength that it is, more than likely, the Weather Service is going to have to extend that warning deeper into portions of Volusia County. Special weather statement continues here, and again, we're looking at a cell with maybe some half-inch size hail, and that's not going to shock me. I think a lot of these cores are going to have some half-inch size hail. The one near Orange City right now, again, the movement of them is very, very slow right now. You can see that. It's going to take some time to even get towards I-4. It's just to the west of 1792 right now, the hail core is, but we could be watching that coming over portions of I-4 there in the far northern sides of Seminole County and into the far southern sides of Volusia County, just depending on its exact movement. Sanford right now still getting hit with some intense heavy rainfall there. And again, on the east side of Sanford, that's pretty lit up right now. Good to see you. How you doing, Florida Storm Chasing Adventures? Thanks for tuning back in. It's been a little while. We've been pretty dry. I know a lot of folks have been telling me on my Facebook page about how crunchy the grass is, and they were hoping that I'd actually come on and be able to track some storms as dry as it's been. And you know, guys, when we get dry into early June, that's our wildfire threat. So it's good to get some of these storms in here and try and tamper down some of the wildfire threat as well. But they're becoming more prolific. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is the most action that I've seen. If you've noticed now, and I think this is a smart thing, what the Weather Service has done is they've allowed all the special weather statements with the storms in southern Osceola County to expire. We've got the severe thunderstorm warning for 12 minutes, but now that's what will take over if they want to reissue it. And again, 91 is the turnpike, so it's raining cats and dogs there, and might even be some smaller sized hail. Again, guys, we're live here. You can see your time on the top left hand side of your screen. Great to see you guys on Central Florida Weather Live. We're just tracking these storms for you here in real time. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for liking this live stream. That helps out a lot as well. Gets more eyeballs on the channel. The more we interact during these live streams, the more that YouTube recommends the channel. So again, the biggest thing when you're just starting out is letting folks know that we exist and that we're out here doing it. And for all of my subscribers, in all serious talk, I always say to make sure you have all of the notifications on, because this is a live only channel. You're going to want to make sure you get that notification on your phone or your tablet, or wherever you're viewing from, that says Central Florida Weather is live. You know to tune in then, because again, I'm only on when there's something to talk about. So we'll get back into it here. What do you say we take one more look at the broad perspective, just kind of give us a good idea. Generally speaking, the western third of our viewing area is drier for today. So my friends in Cedar Key and Crystal River, on over towards Spring Hill, down towards Hudson, and Clearwater and Tampa and Sarasota, Bradenton, enjoying a relatively calm day. The action is going to be over the I-4 corridor right now, and then trying to back build towards I-95 and the East Coast. Everything, generally speaking, is moving west to east. There's a bit of a north tug to some of these storms as well. And again, the main threats are going to be winds of at least 60 miles an hour in the most intense storms. There are going to be some decent downburst winds out of some of this, and then maybe some hail up to an inch in size. Special weather statement, of course, is a category below a severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning is 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-size hail. So we're below that here over St. Cloud and our friends in the northern sides of Osceola County, but still 50-mile-an-hour winds, half-inch size hail. Some of this could move over towards the Harmony and Holopole areas there on 192, and certainly this is going to drive across Harmony and Holopole as it moves up to the north and to the east. Starting to now get the new special weather statement. This is kind of what I was waiting for the southwest sides of Orange County. So now we have a special weather statement in effect for the next 24 minutes. So that'll go to the top of the hour, and that includes places like Windermere and Ocoee and Winter Garden and Dr. Phillips down towards the Lake Buena Vista area, 429. Just extremely heavy rain. We'll track this from the biggest area of concern, and you can see that, there we go. And so again, if it holds together, this is where it's moving. And just to be clear, the radar right now is still showing very slow movement. There is erratic movement with these cells as they develop. Once they kind of pick up some steam, I do expect faster forward motions off to the east, to the northeast, but you can see some of the potential times of arrival. Tangelo Park, 47 minutes. It could be an hour before it hits Belle Isle, but more than likely it's going to be picking up some forward speed. But you can see some of the locations impacted with this. And again, for the attractions area, we are right on the cusp of some of this big activity just in the north there of Magic Kingdom and Epcot and all the other attractions there at Lake Buena Vista. But this part of the cell is yet to come in. So, you know anyone who works or lives at I know some people who live at the attractions. They go every day, but that's not what I meant. If you work or you're at the attractions, let them know. Again, one area I always make sure I cover because we know there's a lot of folks outdoors in this part of Central Florida. And again, that new special weather statement is now extended all the way down to the northwest sides of Osceola County. Downtown Orlando is dry right now, but again, this is going to be moving off towards the east, so we'll be monitoring that. And the special weather statement does go as far northeast as Orla Vista. So the Turnpike, 408 interchange, 429 interchange, which even at this time of night can be on the busier side, is going to be a slow one right now. You get a break in the action until you get back again into the eastern sides of Osceola County. This cell is moving away right now at this point in time from the Chuli-Oda area, but there's going to be some heavier rain there as the special weather statement continues for the next 7 minutes. Could there be a ping or two of some pea-sized hail out of this? Yes. Is it going to be anything damaging? No, I don't think so. But again, these storms just continue to look pretty promising right now on radar. I'm not concerned, again, as I mentioned, with velocity, but let's take a look at a couple of different things here real quick. We'll look at our base velocity here. And if nothing else, that can give us an idea of what some of the winds are going to be. So even though we're not going to more than likely see any tight rotation, like this is not tight rotation, what we could see is some stronger straight line winds, but more than likely, these storms aren't going to be lining up tonight. They're going to be more of the downburst kind of heavy winds where you're going to get a little pocket of brighter colors, brighter reds or brighter greens. So I don't think we're going to be lining up these cells like we sometimes see. But when I'm investigating this, I'm looking for these little pockets of heavier wind. And there's some just southeast of Lake Helen. And again, that's going to prompt some of the potential severe thunderstorm warnings. Yes, Florida storm chasing adventures, I do. I'll type it into the chat for you here. Thanks for asking again. Give me 1 second. I'm on my tablet. But it is cflwlive@gmail.com. Now the best part about this is I don't have a keyboard. I'm using the on-screen. So more than likely I typed this wrong. You want to know something that's hilarious? I didn't even type it. Why is this not working? There we go. Okay. I love this tablet, but it's not the easiest to type in. CFLW Live. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. I obviously won't be able to check it on air, at least right now. We're trying to set up the system to make it much easier. but we're yet to get there. Because obviously one thing that we're going to want to do is have you guys be able to send us pictures or videos that we can turn around quickly. And obviously you guys emailing us is one way to do that. cflwlive@gmail.com. There you go. Yes, so we do have a email address. Thank you for asking. And again, yeah, so we're going to streamline the system to be able to turn around some of the media if you guys take some pictures or videos for us. So again, if you're just tuning in, guys, live here at 6:40, we're tracking a few severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, if you live along I-4 or east, this is going to be your ball game for today. If you live out west, I appreciate you tuning in and sticking with us. You're going to be quieter for the remainder of the day. So our friends in Levy County and Citrus County, Pasco, Hernando, Pinellas and Hillsborough and Manatee counties, everyone's looking pretty good there. But again, as we get into this storm, this is a pretty intense storm. And again, it's just beginning to try and make a turn into some more populated areas. 192, 441 up there in Osceola County. And again, you can see if it holds together, I don't know why it's saying 2 hours into Rockledge, but it's just so slow right now. Nothing is really having a significant forward speed. This one's going 21 miles an hour. So well, I guess so, 42 miles. It is a pretty far away, isn't it? Rockledge probably is 40 miles from there. Let's see, I can manually storm track as well. So let's just verify this. Yeah. I mean, how far do we want to go? About an hour for Rockledge. Okay. Yeah. So again, well past the top of the next hour here, if it lasts into Brevard County, that'll be the one to watch. A lot of heavy rain and lightning out of this as well. And again, I would not want to be driving the turnpike in Osceola County right now. But again, this is a pretty rural area. You really have to get back up into Kissimmee and St. Cloud before you get into any more real population. And of course, along 192, we have our friends in Harmony and Holopole there as well. That's going to be pretty intense moving into that area. Again, that is looks like they've expanded the severe thunderstorm warning as well. So let's do this. Let me get back into a big zoom here and let me refresh the page. Yeah, they've expanded that one out now. It does, let's see. Well, actually, so what I love about this system is that it's about as fast as anything I've ever seen. The new severe thunderstorm warning isn't even on the website yet. There is an NWS chat, but on the actual website, it's not even here. But the new severe thunderstorm warning is going to, let me get out of the way here. So this one expires in 1 minute, right? And again, you're looking at the live countdown. The new one, okay, is going to go all the way into downtown Orlando and cover the southeast side of the metro, including Lake Nona and the Lee Vista Boulevard area and the airport. And that will go for the next 30 minutes, at least. We'll see if they extend it. So all of the areas under this severe thunderstorm warning will be included in this much larger one. But look, they're just seeing this massive area of storms. And again, you can see your live lightning count. I love to be able to show you this too. I have taken this down. I have filtered out a lot of the lightning strikes. If I didn't, we would probably have 500-600 lightning strikes, but I've taken it down to, it has to be a certain energy level, and it's mainly for aesthetics, okay? But there's very intense lightning here across Osceola County, and the turnpike can't be fun to drive right now. And again, within these flashing areas, some hail is possible. This special weather statement is going to expire here in the next couple of minutes. You see it counting down, but the storms are becoming more intense over the western sides of Orange County. So Winter Garden and Ocoee and Windermere, back down to 429 in the Hamlin area. Special weather statement for you guys for the next 15 minutes. Winds of at least 40 miles an hour. There's some breezy conditions. And again, we can look at a lot of different things here. I'll put on the wind gusts as well from our reporting stations So we can see that Sanford had a 30-mile-an-hour wind at the last hour. Downtown, actually, the Executive Airport, 22. And then Kissimmee, 36. Nothing out of the airport. It's only going to report if there's a gust. Okay, it's not a sustained wind. These are gusts right now. So you can see that live here. And again, at the bottom of your screen is the last report from your area. We've added more cities since we were last on as well, trying to cover you guys. So all that information is at the bottom of your screen as well. Okay, thank you, man. Appreciate you sending me an email. Thanks for tuning in as well, guys, and thank you for finding the channel. Again, Rusty McCranie back with you here live, Central Florida Weather Live, tracking these storms for you on this Thursday. We'll call it early evening now. The skies are gray out there. There's no doubt about it. If you have a specific question, drop it in the comments section. If you want to give me a report of where you're viewing from, I appreciate that as well. Certainly, we want to give a heads up to anyone across I-4 or areas off towards the east. That's where these storms are building. They're not going to line up tonight. All right, this is not going to be a squall line. These are going to be embedded storms, and so the winds are going to be very isolated in nature, but these downburst potentials could produce some winds of 60 miles an hour or even higher. And you can see that the severe thunderstorm warnings are being prompted for that. The opportunity to see some hail coming out of these storms as well. So we'll start back up to our north where it's certainly lighter rain in Flagler County, on over towards Ormond Beach and Daytona Beach, and we can look at the Jacksonville radar if we have to, but right now things are quiet enough. The good news is the severe thunderstorm warning out of Lake County has been turned into a special weather statement, still for De Leon Springs. I would be monitoring this cell, and again, the actual movement is very weak right now at around 5 miles an hour. But generally speaking, these are going to be east moving storms. They'll be picking up a little bit of forward speed here over the next hour or two. But the problem, of course, is that if they're moving slow, they're producing copious amounts of rain in just one area. And that's going to be another issue to kind of have to deal with here, as well as, you know, how much rainfall are we getting in one particular location? We could certainly have some nastier size. I'm looking at the potential hail size here. And this, if I take off the radar, just really allows me to see what are the areas that we might need to monitor for hail. Well, right now it's up 1792, Orange City, back down towards the Berry, and even the I-4 corridor here. So that's a nasty cell with some very heavy rain, or more than likely a little bit in the way of some hail size. And again, right over the St. John's there as you cross the bridge and head off towards the north. And you can see that we're picking up, oh, it just went away. As soon as I say that, the algorithm says nah. But again, there's an area that there could be some hail. Let's take a look at some other spots. Towards the University Union Park area, Goldenrod, Azalea Park. Again, not necessarily hail, but there's that opportunity, and it's pinging over inch-size hail in that core. But you get the idea that these are very isolated areas because these storms are kind of just congregating one after another here. These storms here towards St. Cloud, where we have both a special weather statement and we also have the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, across the 417 on the southern sides, just south of the airport. That's pretty bad as you get closer to places like JYP and OBT. I don't believe there's going to be some hail along the 429, but you can see, and again, this is a product that basically says, what's the estimated hail size if there is some hail out of that? It could be a little bit of heavier rain, which would undercut that actual hail size, but you get the idea out of that. And this is a very, very large severe thunderstorm warning. Again, on our radar system, your severe thunderstorm warnings are in red. Your special weather statements are in yellow. Let me get off of this. Okay. No, I don't want to query that. Let me take the radar off real quick. Hopefully it will recycle and let me not have to do that. There we go. Perfect. So again, as I zoom in, a couple of pieces of information. I don't have to reiterate everything because a lot of this is on your screen. Again, severe thunderstorm warning, when it expires, and the main threats. Those will always be on your screen at any point in time. And obviously, that threat is going to be within the polygon. So the severe thunderstorm warning in red goes for 25 more minutes. It goes with 60-mile-an-hour winds and inch-size hail. Both of those are severe thunderstorm criteria. hail and wind, by the way. What I'm going to be tracking is how far north and east this is going to be able to travel. Again, it is building north, so we're seeing some of that more intense activity right over the St. Cloud area right now. Look at all of that. That more than likely is some very heavy rain and at least some smaller sized hail in St. Cloud. You guys live anywhere in those areas? Drop it in the comments section below and let me know. And again, thank you for supporting the channel in all the different ways you can as well. On the southwest side of Orange County, again, now we've really covered up Lake Buena Vista. So it's wet across the attractions. There's some lightning, not a ton, 3 strikes in the last 15 minutes, but some rumbles of thunder out there. I hope those folks are being cautious. And again, our storm speed here from this one cell is only 9 miles an hour, okay? That's it. There's not a lot in the way of forward motion right now. When I zoom out and I put this into motion over the last half hour, you can see that. There's very little forward speed, really. More than anything, they're building kind of north. And what's going to end up happening is we are going to get a merger here. We're going to get a merger of these cells in the eastern sides of Orange County. So this is going to be a very interesting area to watch out for. Look at all of the numerous cells that are going to be coming together, and you know their outflow boundaries are pumping into each other as we speak. That more than likely is why the storm over the southeast side of the city there, Lake Nona and the MCO areas, pumped up a little bit here very quickly. By the way, you can see this line. This is, again, our radar system tracking the leading edge of these storms. So I don't have to redraw anything. It follows it along. So it's very intuitive. Allows me to just keep going here and pumping things in. By the way, that cell over University Park in the UCF area has gotten a little bit stronger. Let's take a look at that one real quick. Yeah, that one's a little bit healthier there. Of course, you got the 417. You have Colonial, okay? And then just north of Colonial, you have your University Avenue exit, and then you have the UCF area. And right now, across the 417 just north of Colonial, and more than likely is going to be some smaller sized hail. Very intense rain, if nothing else. But again, you get into these colors, you're talking about high enough reflectivity in this kind of environment where more than likely you've got yourself some hail as well. Charlene says, hi, Rusty, Azalea Park, Goldenrod, no rain yet, but I hear the thunder. Thanks, Charlene. I appreciate you tuning in. And thank you for your comment. Thanks for interacting here on Central Florida Weather Live. Again, one reason why I'm doing this channel, guys, is because you and I can talk in real time. It's a unique feature of what I'm doing, and I hope you guys will take advantage of it. If you have a specific question, you can ask me. But if nothing else, help out the community and let them know what you're seeing. Again, it's kind of wisdom of the crowd, if you will, as we go live here and track these storms for you. Continuing to see, again, Volusia County, pretty wet right now. Lake Helen and Deltona and DeBerry. It's a pretty good storm over DeBerry right now. 1792 really covered up. And again, within this swath, we have another cell that's showing hail likely. Severe hail is a possibility, and maybe up to even 1.5 inch size hail. All right. So these storms, again, they're very, very clustered, but also we have to really, with a microscope, almost fine tune where the most prolific parts of these cells are, because they're not going to be one big line as far as the intensity, but we're going to be looking for pockets. And especially when it comes to wind in this scenario, these downburst types of winds, they're really isolated in nature, but man, if they get going, 60+ mile-an-hour winds are absolutely possible. So we continue to see this cell fade on the far northern end, De Leon Springs. Special weather statement continues, but I think things are looking pretty good for De Leon Springs. We'll watch what's going to be happening here. And again, if you live in Daytona Beach or Ormond Beach or Port Orange, Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea, New Smyrna, Edgewater, this activity is going to be making a move towards you here as we get towards the sunset hour. These storms should at least stay this intense through 8 o'clock, so about the next hour. Then I'll be curious to see, as we begin to lose the heat of the day, how this is all going to be playing out. But listen, there's going to be some wind coming along for the ride with this as well. As a matter of fact, let me get back on our gust observations here and see if we've had another report. So Kissimmee, 36 last hour, downtown 22, still nothing out of MCO. And again, take a look at this storm in Osceola County. Man, it is covered up. And if you live in Brevard County, again, Brevard, Volusia, certainly. So intense storms will be coming in. Look, more than likely, you're going to be hearing some wind. You're going to be hearing some thunder out there. It's coming down. Obviously, we need this rain in Central Florida. We don't want the severe weather to come along with it, especially the hail or the damaging wind threat. That is a possibility and why I'm on live, but obviously we need the rain here as well. So again, I'll stay with you here as we go through the remainder of the storms. Generally speaking, they're moving off towards the east. You can see on the top center side of your screen there, this is the live lightning count in this view over just the past 15 minutes. And a lot of the lightning strikes actually filtered out. I want to look at the most intense, because if I went all the way and said, show me every lightning strike, this would probably be getting close to 1,000 in just the last 15 minutes. But even filtered out, look how nasty this storm is in the southern sides of Osceola County. Let me just check in with the National Weather Service here in Melbourne, make sure that there's nothing that we need to discuss in a more prolific manner here. And again, thanks for tuning in, guys. So the storm that still has our severe thunderstorm warning, and you can see that. And again, let me just reset this real quick. All right, give me 1 second. Every so often, like I said, a computer, you just kind of reset it. There we go. So I want these times of arrival to come on. Might be a little glitch in the system where those times fall off. But the bottom line is this severe thunderstorm warning goes until 7:15. 60-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-sized hail. Weather Service doesn't really have much more than that. Nothing to pass along that I haven't already mentioned. Technically, this is going to be for Southwest Brevard, Southeastern Orange, and Northeast sides of Osceola County. It's an extremely expansive severe thunderstorm warning. Just to show you here, I can take off the special weather statement, and you can just see only the severe thunderstorm warning. So in red is our severe thunderstorm warning. So places like St. Cloud and Harmony and Holopaw, and then Lake Nona in Medical City, and MCO, all under this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 18 minutes. Main threat, 60-mile-an-hour winds and some inch-sized hail, but extremely heavy rain. This is slowly eking its way off towards the, they have it going north at 30, but I think it's like building north and slowly moving off towards the east. Nothing in the radar that I've seen has that kind of forward speed. So again, and I love this feature too, I can just click this on and we can see within this polygon some of the areas that need to pay attention as this storm builds north and east. That's going to be Azalea Park in 12. Where are you, Charlene? Charlene, Azalea Park in 12 minutes. So you let me know. Lightning now, thunder getting dark. Yep, lights came on earlier. I got you, Charlene. So again, Charlene lives in the Union Park area. Azalea Park, actually, right? There you go. I got you, Charlene, right there. So again, with my system, Charlene says, I live in Azalea Park. We throw this on, and to the very second, the computer is going to count down when the most intense part of that cell is going to make it towards Charlene's area in Azalea Park. And that's the point of this, right? So Charlene's talking about the thunder and the lightning right now, but it's going to get worse there, and we can track this down for you. And the great thing I like about this system is that we're not just talking pinpoints of downtown areas, because many of us don't actually live in the downtown Orlando area or whatever city you live in. And so it doesn't matter. If we want to go into specific locations, this computer system is going to bring that on. And as I'm speaking, you guys can probably clearly see that they have issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. And the other great part about it is I click a button and it pops on and we can read this together. So severe thunderstorm warning goes until 7:15. Again, has it moving north at around 32. Radar indicated threats. Those are some of the areas that need to pay attention. Wedgefield would be included in that as well. But this is a new severe thunderstorm warning right here. How about that one? So this new severe thunderstorm warning is now going to include Orlando and Winter Park, Altamont Springs, Winter Springs, Lake Mary, Sanford, Chuliota, UCF, Baldwin Park, probably all the parks, Union Park's included in that. Goldenrod, Fairview Shores, Maitland, Altamont, Castleberry, Wekiva Springs, Forest City there, Lake Mary, all under this new severe thunderstorm warning. So now we have 2. Let me take off the radar. Here you go. Okay. These are huge severe thunderstorm warnings. Shows you how widespread the storms are. 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, but they encompass a lot of square miles. So Osceola County, Brevard, southeast, central sides of Orange County for the next 14 minutes. They've basically taken the northern part of that because we talked about the building north, and they've extended it now to include a lot more of Orange and portions of Seminole County as well. So that's the newest one from the National Weather Service. And let me get the details on that. Again, my system is picking up everything you guys really need to know, but let me make sure that there's nothing that they really want to highlight here to pass along. There we go. Once again, the system picks it up faster than even it being on the website. So they've gone up to quarter to $half size hail. By the way, Orlando International reported a 58-mile-an-hour wind. So how about that? There's your 60-mile-an-hour winds. More than likely, it just hasn't been reported here yet. With the next observation, we'll get it. But MCO, right? MCO reported a 58-mile-an-hour wind. Be curious to see if that caused any damage, by the way. That's a good, strong wind. And again, nice little downburst as well there. So let's see here. Curious, they are reporting. You saw that little barb pop up. I was just making sure that they actually were reporting. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on that. We'll get back over to the gusts. There it is. There it is. 58-mile-an-hour wind at MCO. They just hadn't put it through the system yet to be reported. All right, so there you go, guys. So the bottom line is strong winds coming up the eastern side of Orange County, really central and eastern sides. Even downtown would be included in this. Let me get the radar back on, and we'll track this for you live. We're past the top of the hour, guys. Thanks for joining me here, Central Florida Live. Rusty McCranie with you. Coming to you live because we have severe storms throughout Central Florida right now. This is our live look at our radar. You can see the storms lining up along and east of I-4. Western areas, you're quiet. Storms from I-4 towards I-95 will be very prolific, at least for the next hour or two, and I'll continue to track those for you guys live. First of all, you notice our lightning counts are beginning to go up as well. This is really the most intense that these cells have been all day long. So we'll start from north to south. We have a special weather statement that is still in effect for De Leon Springs, but that cell is weakening. Storms will be moving into places like Port Orange and Daytona Beach, Holly Hill, Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea. But generally right now, the strongest part of those cells are going to be a little bit farther off towards the south. Special weather statement for Orange City and DeBerry, even Lake Helen, back down towards the Deltona areas here. That's going to be for winds of 40 miles an hour and quarter-inch size hail. That goes for the next 26 minutes. So this special weather statement for this portion of Volusia County goes until 7:30. Now you butt up against a new severe thunderstorm warning, and it's congested enough here. I'm going to take off the special weather statements just so we can look at this severe thunderstorm warning, because the severe thunderstorm warning will trump the special weather statement in Seminole County. So this new severe thunderstorm warning goes until 7:30, and it does include places like Lake Mary, Winter Springs, Oviedo, Altamont Springs, Winter Park, Union Park, the UCF area, downtown Orlando, and areas off to the south that we'll talk more about here. But again, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Now you're getting into the $half size hail, the 1.25 inches. Okay, so you're going from quarter hail and an inch in size to potentially the $half size hail. So we have to really monitor that extremely heavy rainfall. A fair amount of lightning, again, 18 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. I have, again, the lightning kind of tamped down a little bit here because I have it in some of the most prolific lightning strikes. But if I were just to take this down a little bit, guys, if you look at the top of your screen, if I just bring that down a little bit here and then bring back on the lightning, we go up to 80 strikes. So this more for aesthetics than anything else, because we're still able to pick up the most significant strikes here But again, I don't want there to be so many lightning strikes we can't actually see what's going on with the radar. So this severe thunderstorm warning goes for the next 25 minutes. Let's track this one for you guys. So here you go. Based on the northern side of this, here are the areas that are going to be impacted as this storm moves up to the northeast. By the way, the official speed from the National Weather Service is going to be north at 35 miles an hour. So here we go. We've got Winter Park in 12 minutes, University Park, UCF area 13, Altamont in 14 minutes, McCoy Springs in 16, same thing for our friends in Castleberry, Longwood 17, Winter Springs 18, Sanford 28, Deltona 29, DeLand in about an hour if it holds together. But again, 60-mile-an-hour winds, maybe some half-dollar sized hail being produced out of that cell. It's nastier up towards Conway right now. You can see that there in the Beachline interchange. Pretty rough situation, heavier rain, embedded hail within this, back down towards Lake Nona and Narcoossee. Those areas, heavy rain, lightning, storms in those regions. Still some heavier rain from Edgewood to Oak Ridge, back over towards Windermere. Now, these are not going to be severe over the 429, but again, they're picking up in intensity overall. There's the Ocoee area, so it's going to be wet there on the western sides of Colonial, back down towards the 408 Turnpike interchange, just areas we don't need to see any of that. And again, you can see what's happening in Osceola County. They've cut off the southern part of that severe thunderstorm warning, okay? That's good news. I mean, this was really intense a while ago, but now everything's kind of moving up towards the north. So the interesting thing now, I'll watch this part of the cell because it is slipping into western Brevard County, but if you notice that all of these polygons are more north than east at this point in time. So really, it's going to be northeast Osceola, eastern Orange, eastern Seminole, and then into Volusia for these storms to move. They're still going to push east, generally speaking, but there might be more movement to the north right now. And anything to the west of this is going to be quiet. I don't expect any additional storms back over I-75. But again, we have these two very large severe thunderstorm warnings. One will expire in 7 minutes. We'll see if they reissue for the southern side of that, but more than likely it's this one that's going to take over and provide us our lone severe thunderstorm warning at this point in time. So Charlene says getting darker and darker and darker. Thank you, Charlene. I appreciate it. Hi, Noble Pills says, sounds like hail in Conway. Okay, so appreciate it, Noble Pills. So again, in the Conway area here, I've been monitoring this spot, and you can see those fuchsias, those purples. That is indicative of some hail coming down in that area right now. So if you live in the Conway area, more than likely we have at least some hail. And again, this severe thunderstorm warning is up for a $50 size. That would be damaging hail. I hope it's not nearly that size. I don't see that intensity out of that particular part of the cell. But again, you know, starting to get some reports of some hail there on the eastern sides of the Orlando metro area. Downtown itself, it's almost like splitting I-4 in half. You get west of downtown, west of I-4, it's relatively quieter for Pine Hills and Orla Vista and places like that. You get east though, Pine Castle, Edgewood, Conway, Winter Park, Union Park, and Goldenrod and Maitland. It's a little bit stormier out there. You got it, Charlene. We need the rain. So again, it's always interesting here when we get into early June, when we all need the rain because we haven't had it yet. The wet season hasn't kicked in, but then you get these storms. Thankfully, you know, hopefully, I guess, we're not going to have any wildfires created by any of these lightning strikes. Hope that's not the case. When we get deeper into June and it's still been dry, that becomes more of a threat, but we're teetering on that right now. By the way, Lake Mary, there's a little cell right there that we're pinging some hail on. So here you go, Lake Mary area. We've got 100% chance for hail, 40% chance it's severe, potentially up to 1.5 inches in size. And because the severe thunderstorm warning mentions 1.25 inch size, which is $50, this is certainly plausible to get over 1 inch size hail. And again, this is just south of the Lake Mary area. There's 17 right there. So keep that in mind. Another cell, pinging on the potential for some hail is going to be just to the south and west of DeBerry, trying to cross over I-4. By the way, I-4 right now, southern Volusia, northern Seminole counties, no fun. No fun at all. Heavy rain for Sanford continuing. Again, severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30 there. Just taking a look at some more intense parts of this. Oviedo, raining cats and dogs coming down solidly. Same thing for Maitland, Winter Park, Union Park, Goldenrod, Baldwin Park, Eatonville, Fairview Shores, Azalea Park, all within this large swath of intense rain. Obviously, the skies are going to be very dark out there. We're going to have a fair amount of lightning coming along with it. You can always look at your live lightning count right there. And then the opportunity for some hail. I said it earlier, there's no real tornado threat for today. These storms aren't rotating a lot, but wind and hail are going to be the primary threats as we move through the remainder of the early evening. Be very curious to see how these storms hold together when we hit sunset. But between now and sunset, there certainly was plenty of heat energy today in the atmosphere, as high as it was, with daytime highs in the mid and even some upper 90s. Make sure I've got the observations back on. If you don't mind, guys, I'm going to bring out my old friend, the chapstick, because I've already been live for what, about an hour? Doing a lot of talking, but I love it. It's great to see you guys here. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for all of the people watching right now. It's been a couple of weeks, right? But again, that's the point of this channel. Only going to go on when there are storms to track for you guys live. So if you're here, thank you first of all for liking this live stream. Thank you very much for supporting the channel by subscribing. And if you would like to support the channel in other ways, you can find that as well. But again, thanks for telling your family and friends about us. And if you are a subscriber, certainly for this live-only channel, make sure you have all notifications on. It's not going to, you're not going to be bombarded by notifications because you're only getting a notification when I'm live. And when I'm live, there's something to talk about. But that way you know, right, that you have your notifications on. And when you see it, you say, okay, Rusty's on, there's something going down. And by the way, this is really beginning to merge here. And now as these cells merge, we're going to get some stronger winds coming out of this. I can almost guarantee you that. When we see these cell mergers with already intense storms, typically speaking, as they hit and then they outflow, we get some of those strongest activity. Still concerned about that cell towards Lake Mary, just south of Lake Mary. If you live in that area, let me know. But there could be some really nasty hail there just north of Longwood and Winter Springs, just south of the Lake Mary area. Again, kind of slowly moving off towards the east. Sanford Airport had a 26-mile-an-hour wind a little bit earlier. But again, if you're just tuning in, and maybe you're tuning in because of the wind, Orlando International had a 58-mile-an-hour wind gust. Hi, best day ever 2020. I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for letting me know. Best day ever also said lots of thunder and lightning here, 436 East Colonial area. Got it. Thank you very much. So there you go. There's 408 right now. There's Azalea Park. There's Union Park. Our friends in the Winter Park area, Goldenrod, Aloma, all of those areas here, UCF as well. Nasty storms. Let me reset this, get out to the broad perspective here. Let's see what we got here. Do we have a tornado warning? Okay. We have a tornado warning, guys. We have a tornado warning. Stand by. It's not even up there yet. All right. So everything else goes away when we're talking about a tornado warning. Let me get you the information. All right. We have a tornado warning in effect right now for Orange County and portions of Seminole County for the next 30 minutes. And I'm still trying to get the information. Again, my system is so much faster. You can see some of the areas that are going to be impacted by this as well, guys. Trying to look at some of the different velocity products as well. And also just making sure that this is a valid warning. Because again, it's not showing up yet. But this system is ahead of the curve of some of the public information. I got to tell you, if there is a little bit of spin, it's going to be over Azalea Park in the Conway areas right now. Come on. Okay, Noble Hills just got the tornado warning. Okay. All right, so it is a valid warning. Again, for some reason, my system is not picking it up as quickly on my tablet. It is picking it up, obviously, here. So I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to get into it, guys. So again, we have a tornado warning that's currently in effect right now for portions of Orange and portions of Civil County. This goes for the next 29 minutes, so it goes until 7:45. All right, we're going to be looking at the areas in the Conway, Azalea Park region right now. So I'm going to take a look at some of the velocity products. Those are going to be our wind-driven products, and we'll see what's going on here. I'm looking at different things like gate-to-gate shear. I'm just looking for spin in the atmosphere, guys. So, what prompted this tornado warning from the National Weather Service? That's the most important thing right now, is to get you guys that information. So again, certainly there's a little bit of shear right now in the Azalea Park area, back down towards Conway. And again, you can see that our system is picking it up, moving up to the north and to the east. Let's go back over to our reflectivity. That's gate-to-gate shear. I can, by the way, and maybe I will, we can pull up the terminal Doppler out of MCO. Again, guys, if you live in Conway, Azalea Park, Union Park, Winter Park, Goldenrod, University Park, Bithlo, Oviedo, right on the edge of Castleberry and Maitland, you guys are under a tornado warning right now for the next 27 minutes. Still efforting to get you guys some of the specific information. Here we go. Okay. So it's going to be for South Central Seminole, Central Orange County till 7:45. Radar indicated severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado over Azalea Park, and we've been mentioning this area. We've been mentioning it a lot. Azalea Park, Union Park area, moving northeast at 20. Potential tornado, quarter-sized hail. Moving up again northeast at 20, so Oviedo, Winter Springs, Winter Park as well. So let's go from Azalea Park. We'll track this out for you here. And again, in this area, we can see the potential times of arrival. All right, I'm going to do a manual track here. And we're going to go from the Azalea Park area. And we're going to go north and east. Let me expand this out. We're going to go north and east. All right, give me just 1 second here, guys. Let me clear off this last one. I apologize for that. Okay. Just want to make sure that we get the right time of arrival on here for you guys. So we're going to go manual. We're going to go Azalea Park. We're going to go out 20 miles an hour. All right, there we go. So based on the speed from the National Weather Service, we're looking at Azalea Park in 25. That's not right. Sorry about that. Should be Azalea Park now, and then Oviedo potentially at about 40 minutes. But you get the idea, guys, that this is moving up to the north and to the east at around 20 miles an hour. So if you live in these areas, please be very, very cautious. Again, this is a radar indicated tornado. I've been looking at the velocities. First of all, we can see these brighter reds, okay? But what we're really looking for is a twist or a spin. Now, these brighter reds are going to be stronger winds up towards Goldenrod. You can see that, 40 and 50 mile an hour winds. They're not as strong here, but there is a little bit more congestion right in this area. You can see that. So again, this is a radar indicated potential tornado in the Azalea Park, Union Park area, moving northeast at 20. Tornado warning continues until 7:45. And as you guys probably heard, you got the alert that there is a tornado warning in effect for portions of Orange and Seminole counties. Go back over to the reflectivity product here. Extremely, extremely intense storm. First of all, if there is a tornado embedded within this, you're never going to see it, okay? It is a high precipitation supercell. There's a ton of heavy rain. You would never see the actual area of concern. That being said, we just have to consider this whole area is one that we need to really focus in on here for the potential, again, for a tornadic cell. To go along with it, we're picking up hail probabilities of up to maybe $0.50 in size in some spots, and that's near the Winter Park, Goldenrod areas. But again, this is a very intense cell where we do have a tornado warning currently in effect. And again, this is moving up to the north and to the east. So some of the times of arrival from Azalea Park at that 25 mile an hour wind, 20 miles north and east, Union Park in 14, Chuliota and the Oviedo areas in about 33 minutes. So again, you can see this is from the area of concern, moving up north and to the east, and we're getting a new area here. So now we pick this up from the Union Park area, and again, you can see this over Union Park at about 14 minutes. Then it'll be crossing 417 and then headed up towards the Chuliota area here in about a half hour. Same thing for Oviedo as well. 434, if you live or know anyone who lives across 434, it's at about 22 minutes. Once again, if you're just tuning in here to Central Florida Weather Live, we do have a tornado warning that is currently in effect until 7:45 for portions of the the central sides of Orange County and the south central sides of Seminole County as well. Let's get back on our severe thunderstorm warnings because this is embedded within a larger severe thunderstorm warning. That expires in 8 minutes, but will be reissued because the tornado warning goes for the next 23. Again, your tornado warning is in purple here. Very, very heavy rain. An embedded rotation is possible. I honestly haven't seen anything extremely significant, but the National Weather Service in Melbourne has at least enough to prompt this severe thunderstorm warning. I want to try and bring on here, if I can, our terminal Doppler. So this is going to be the radar out of the airport. And I just wanted to see here if looking at this radar, which is closer, if we can pick up anything a little bit more, although it doesn't look like it's cutting through things very well right now. Yeah, the sight is down. I wonder if that wind gust got them. It's been down for about 45 minutes. Who knows if that 58 mile an hour wind did something. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to use the terminal Doppler. So I'll go back over to Melbourne's radar, which is the closest one to monitor. But again, I have access to the terminal Dopplers, terminal equals airport across the country as well. So this one being so close, I thought I'd look at it. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, we do have a tornado warning that is currently in effect. A rotation detected on radar near Azalea Park, moving to the northeast at 20 miles an hour. Again, I continue to look at different things. Our base velocity product here, certainly, again, in this product, I'm looking for reds close to greens. There's some of that. I don't see anything extremely tight. There's some strong outflow winds over the Goldenrod area, but when they're all one color, they're all moving in a specific direction all away from the radar. That's what red indicates, green is towards. So again, we're looking for areas where we have tight red and green signatures together. I don't see it significantly, but we never play around with the tornado warning that's been issued from the National Weather Service out of Melbourne. So again, this tornado warning goes for the next 20 minutes. Area of concern right now would be moving right over Union Park. So if you live at University, UCF, Goldenrod, there's the 417, 434 up towards Oviedo. Oviedo, you are under this tornado warning. That storm is not to you as of yet, but it is headed your way. Back over to reflectivity mode. Look how intense this cell is. Look how elongated it is. Even on the northern sides of this tornado warning, we have this hail signature near Winter Springs and Longwood and Lake Erie. And again, in the chat, if you live in these areas, drop into the comments section below. Let me know what you guys are seeing. Let me know what you guys are hearing. But if you're just tuning in, we do have a tornado warning in effect for portions of Orange and Seminole counties for the next 20 minutes. It also could include some quarter-inch sized hail. So we're going to be monitoring this very closely. We're in on this storm, guys. And again, we're looking at this together, and I'm taking a look at all the different things here. This is going to be storm relative velocity. Now, one thing I'll say is that the Melbourne radar is cutting through a lot of intense storms to get here. We can look at the Jacksonville radar if we want to. I'm just trying to see if I can pick up anything else here as well. See what the Jacksonville radar shows. I mean, it's clear to see where the Weather Service issued this warning off of. As far as intensity of this goes, bright greens down here, but again, those are all in one direction. But take this very, very seriously. If you live in this polygon, you need to make sure that you're taking your tornado precautions. You want to make sure that you're obviously in the interior section of your home. You want to stay away from west-facing windows. And you want to make sure you just keep up to date with what's happening with this cell. Again, no confirmed tornado out of this, but we do have a radar-indicated rotation, and that is what prompted this tornado warning that is currently in effect. And again, it goes for the next 18 minutes. And you can clearly see that, by the way, of course, on the live radar system here. It's going to let you know what warning we have. It's going to let you know when it expires and the main threat. So obviously, a tornado is a main threat, but also some inch-sized hail. And again, if you live in this area and you've seen anything, let me know. But at this point in time, as I'm just taking a look at all the different kinds of velocity products I can look at here, a little bit of gate-to-gate shear there as well. I would say the most intense part of this cell right now is passing just east of Goldenrod. And again, our system, our polygon, letting you know that that is a tornado warning. All right. So I don't see anything out of the Jacksonville radar site that stood out compared to Melbourne. So I'm going to go back over to Melbourne, just a little bit closer to home. They have issued a new severe thunderstorm warning, as we would imagine, right? It's going to go farther north. So we've got to track this whole area until these storms expire. By the way, that new severe thunderstorm warning is now up until 8 o'clock. So tornado warning until 7:45. Severe thunderstorm warning now north of that area until 8 p.m. Again, this is not a observed tornado. This is a radar-indicated rotation that was over Azalea Park. Everything is moving up kind of north right now, or north and east at around 20 miles an hour. But guys, look how widespread this area of concern is. I mean, again, you're never going to actually see if this tornado is actually in there. It's going to be covered up with extremely, extremely heavy rain. Again, this is not reflectivity. This is wind right now, but we switch over to reflectivity. You're going to see a lot of reds again. It's almost about the same thing. So we'll monitor that situation. And if anyone has any updates from the Weather Service and they want to throw it in the chat, be my guest, because obviously I'm involved in doing this. But if you guys see anything from the Weather Service, please let me know. So the southern part of this severe thunderstorm warning is about ready to expire. You can see that counting down. Tornado warning continues. But again, this tornado warning started off darn near downtown Orlando, Conway, Azalea Park, moving north and east. And again, your reflectivity just shows you, first of all, how much lightning there is, and then how intense the rainfall is as well. Now again, we'll go back over to velocity, and it's going to be hard to see anything more embedded in this. Certainly hope that whatever rotation that they saw to prompt this That's come down. Again, as I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the Melbourne radar with you guys in real time here, nothing significant stands out. But a brief tornado, absolutely plausible. Hard to see. The winds are going to be something as well. We're going to pick it up from that area of concern again. You can see that moving through. Right on the edge of Chuliota and Oviedo, Winter Springs, Castleberry. Those are the areas for the tornado warning. Let's go back over to reflectivity. Storms are getting picked up a bit over Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna, just west of I-95 there. That's not severe, but those storms are a little bit stronger. DeLand, that storm thankfully dissipated before it got into your area. But really now, especially with this new severe thunderstorm warning, we're going to be talking about Orange and Seminole counties. Again, there hasn't been much progress east as of yet. So Brevard County, you're looking pretty good right now. If anything, it's non-severe up towards Titusville and Mims. Western sides of Orange County looking a little bit better. And they have allowed the tornado warning to expire early. Okay. Got to be honest, I never saw too much, but the National Weather Service meteorologists are fantastic. And there's several of them looking at things at real time. And so we always take what they say extremely seriously. I'm not shocked, to be honest, that they allowed that warning to expire a little bit early. I was sitting there looking, I was like, man, you know, am I missing something? But I don't believe that the rotation that they saw to prompt the warning lasted very long. Now, that being said, we're going to have some pretty decent hail. There's the 436 area. Who was at 436? Best day ever was 436 and Colonial. So my bearings are right, a little bit south of there. So there's 436 and Colonial. Heavy rain there, western sides of Union Park. But this is going to be some hail that's going to be trying to sneak into Goldenrod. So again, if you're just tuning in, the National Weather Service out of Melbourne allowed that tornado warning to expire early. They canceled it. It was supposed to go until 7:45. But if you've been watching me live, while we were looking at things, I didn't see any significant rotation out of it. But one thing that's going to happen here, guys, is we're going to get some decent downburst winds, okay? So that's why this severe thunderstorm warning is so large. If you've been hearing me talk about this, we're not going to have straight line winds that are going to line up with these storms, and we're going to be tracking like the leading edge. Embedded within this very intense and large cluster of storms, we could get downburst winds of 60 plus miles an hour and pockets of maybe some inch-sized hail. And both of those, again, are your severe thunderstorm warning criteria. Let's track this from the area of most intense cell for you right now. 18 minutes in Lake Mary, 21 in Sanford, DeLand 33, Lake Helen, and about 44. And again, this new severe thunderstorm warning does go for the next 27 minutes. Joan Ellis, what? You're fine. I'm scared you don't want to die. You're good. You're good. You're not going to die. Nothing's going to get you. You're fine. Okay. You're doing a very smart thing by tuning in. I have you covered. No reason to be afraid of the weather. We just need to respect the weather. Okay. And this is a situation where we're not in an active tornado warning. So these storms aren't going to harm you in that way. Okay. We can replace things like cars and even homes if we have to, but these storms, generally speaking, aren't even that intense. But I'm here for you to track this with you live. So hopefully, you know, take a deep breath, relax, stay with me. Let me know where you live, by the way, as well. I'm happy to continue to monitor where you live, but you're not going to die. I'm taking your comment as being serious. I've had to talk to a lot of people and a lot of kids and a lot of people in extremely serious situations. You know, I'm from Central Florida, but I worked in Oklahoma City for 7 years, where storms really could have, you know, significant impacts on life. And we talk about respecting storms, but not being too concerned. okay? Don't worry. We got you, all right? Folks in the comments section as well, help her out. I appreciate that. Hi, Carolyn. How you doing? You're in Titusville. Well, again, Titusville right now, non-severe. These storms are mainly moving more north than anything else at this point in time. But I'll watch if the intensity still is able to hold together as they move east. So again, generally speaking right now, let me get this off the screen, areas off towards our west are going to be okay, all right? These storms are going to be trying to make a run into the I-95 corridor of Volusia and Brevard. Now, what's been happening is they've really just all slammed together and become one huge area, with generally the most intense parts moving north rather than east, or if it is an east movement, it's very little. Some of that rain has reached I-95 in northern Brevard County. There's been a couple of scattered showers towards Cocoa as well, but certainly right now it is inland. And we'll see as we get closer to sunset whether the intensity can still linger, okay? Hopefully, what's the best case scenario as dry as it's been? You get the beneficial rain without the severe thunderstorm. But again, guys, take a look at all of the lightning within this. Again, I have some of the lightning strikes filtered out. And over the last 15 minutes, we're still picking up 150 lightning strikes within this view. You're talking about a really intense storm right now over Sanford, Lake Mary, Winter Springs, Castleberry, Oviedo, Chuliota, Goldenrod, University. Thank you, guys. You're good. I promise you. All right, again, so this severe thunderstorm warning is in effect now for the next 23 minutes. And basically, again, this is now going to encompass a lot of Volusia County as well. So we're still getting pretty intense activity over Conway and Oak Ridge and Lake Nona, but now we're really beginning to shift this to the north. And for those of you viewing in the Azalea Park, Conway area, let me know how it's going. It's still intense, but now we're starting to see that drift up into portions of Cibolo County. If you live in Oviedo, that is, look at all of that lightning, guys. And by the way, all of this red is extremely intense reflectivity on the scale. It is coming down right now across the Oviedo area there with a ton of lightning. That's a really intense storm. The severe thunderstorm warning is absolutely warranted for that area. It's pretty rough over Lake Mary, Sanford, a little bit west of I-4 there towards Apopka, not bad. You can handle that. Again, if we can avoid the severe weather, we need this rain, but man, these storms have really gotten ramped up here in the last little bit. Deltona, not bad, kind of on the northern edge of things, but again, you are under the severe thunderstorm warning because this part of the cell is moving up towards the north and east. So again, looking at some of the times of arrival of that kind of leading edge of the most intense part, you're looking at 13 minutes in Lake Mary, 16 minutes in Sanford, 28 in Deltona, and Lake Helen in about 39. By the way, you can also see the times of arrival pop up when I click this, so you get a good idea from our track if it holds together when it would be moving into your area. So with this one, if it does try and get into central and the northern sides of Volusia County along the coast, it's going to be somewhere around sunset tonight. And again, we'll see if the intensity of these storms linger. But the lightning strike count is still holding on right now. Nearly 200 lightning strikes in this area. And again, that count really isn't going down. So this is just a really nasty cell right now. Just really, really intense rain. Let me grab a sip of water here, guys. Good to see everyone coming in. We're coming about an hour and a half live streaming. And again, if you're here, a couple of things. First of all, thank you so much for liking the live stream. It lets people know that we're on. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber here to Central Florida Weather Live, again, I'm on only when there's storms to talk about. So make sure you have those notifications on. That way you know when I'm on, you need to jump on, take a look and see if it's something that you need to keep a close eye on, or whether like our western areas for today, you guys have the all clear. But again, this is why we do this, and we're on at all hours of the day. No reason to go off when there's storms going on. Still hearing some rumbles of thunder out there. How about you guys? This is a nasty cell that, again, if you live in Sanford or Lake Mary or Winter Springs or Oviedo, I mean, look at the intensity of that, guys. Let's take a look at the hail. We haven't done that in a little while. We also make sure that we've got our storms on as well. Yeah, okay. So again, embedded within this area, the radar is picking up several different cells that are a little bit more prominent right now. Notice that the forward speeds of these are not significant, 12, 15. The one near Altamont Springs is a little bit faster. So again, in the Altamont Springs Castleberry area right now, that cell over you is more than likely producing some hail. Will more than likely be smaller. When you see that size, that's the maximum hail size. So that wouldn't even prompt a severe thunderstorm warning, but that is about nickel size hail. I wouldn't want to be playing around with it. You know, it's at least potentially, we'll call it penny size hail. But again, it doesn't mean that the entire area is seeing that, but it's a possibility within this for Altamont Springs and Fern Park and Maitland that we have maybe some penny sized hail. You know, I'm undercutting it a little bit from what it was talking about, but you get the idea. Huge severe thunderstorm warning. This is one of the largest ones that I've seen. This is massive. Basically, the Weather Service is like, look, anywhere in this area, we could get some 60-mile-an-hour winds and some inch-sized hail. And again, generally speaking, it's trying to creep north. So Lake Mary and Sanford, those are the next areas. And Lake Mary already had the opportunity for some hail. Oviedo, whew, again, just intense storm there. You talk about gangbusters, my goodness. And again, you got a specific question or you want to let me know what's going on in your area, I appreciate that. We're starting to see things quiet back down in Orlando metro area. Let me put back on the winds, by the way. So even they had a 52 and now they're reporting a 30. By the way, if you're just tuning in, Orlando International had a 58-mile-an-hour wind. They reported another time 52. We have a 37 in downtown Orlando at the Executive Airport. There's your little hail potential right there near Altamont Springs and I-4. Boy, you won't want to be seeing hail over I-4 right now. Severe thunderstorm warning continues till 8 o'clock. Sanford Airport had a 30-mile-an-hour wind. Even towards Daytona Beach, they had a 23. There's a 22 there in Brevard County. I'm just taking a look at things here. This is 24 from the reporting site there off of Satellite Beach. Melbourne had a 26. So some breezy conditions there. And there are some storms, by the way, firing up along the coast. They're just not severe. I don't want to, gloss over these, but Mico on over towards Malabar and Palm Bay, you can see they're becoming a little bit more numerous in nature now, and is something to monitor. So Rockledge and Merritt Island and Cocoa. There's your Titusville one. It is getting more intense now in Titusville and Mims. It's not a severe thunderstorm warning. You can see that one there. It's an interesting little appendage. Don't like seeing those appendages, but don't see any wind with it. Interesting little feature. So what I'm talking about is you get this void in the radar as on that leading edge, there might be a little bit of wind trying to wrap into it. But when I look at the velocity, it's all straight line. But we do have an algorithm there of at least some hail. That's a pretty intense cell. Now the good news is for Titusville, it's east of you guys, and it's not coming back as far as that appendage goes. But heavy rain, Titusville, Mims, up towards Oak Hill. There's the Oak Hill area right there. But again, back to our severe thunderstorm warning. If you guys are just tuning in, it's a good chunk of metro Orlando area to the north, including Sanford, Winter Springs, Castleberry, Altamont Springs, Maitland, Winter Park, Union Park, Chuliota, Bithlo, all in this severe thunderstorm warning, Oviedo, for the next 15 minutes. So still to the top of the hour. We did have a tornado warning. I never really saw a tight couplet within that tornado warning. And the Weather Service said that this was a radar indicated rotation. and they did cancel that warning earlier. It does look like the most intense part of that storm was going to be over Conway and Azalea Park, which is where they initiated the tornado warning, but thankfully that warning was allowed to expire early. We never saw any big rotation here from what I'm looking at from the Melbourne radar. But again, this whole line is moving north and east, and you can again see where this leading edge is tracking into Lake Mary and Sanford in the next 10 minutes, Deltona in about 20, and then Lake Helen in about 30, if it holds together. And I think at least over the next half hour, it's going to. As we start to lose the heat of the day, that's the first question mark, is will these storms in their intensity stick around? But beneficial rain, bad to see the severe thunderstorms going out of this. But areas off to the south, it's good to get some of this rain. We've desperately needed it here in Central Florida, but it's coming along, of course, with the yin and the yang of getting some pretty intense storms today. Let me get back over to the chat. How you guys doing? Hi, Terry. How are you? Terry says, Winter Springs, hearing a lot of thunder with all the rain and the wind has picked up. Terry says, lightning picking up as well. Is it John Yels? John Yels, apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. You're in Winter Springs. Okay, I got you. I got you. Here's Winter Springs right here. Look, this is an intense storm. I get it. But you're fine, all right? And we need to be prepared for these kinds of storms to develop in Central Florida during the wet season fairly often. They may not get this intense, but we know what these sea breeze storms can do. And again, you know, you're going to hear some noise. There's going to be some wind noise. There's obviously going to be some lightning and thunder in this area. And there's the opportunity, again, for some hail in this area as well. And I hope you guys don't get that. But we know how it plays out here. If you've been a resident of Central Florida even for a year, we know what's coming as we get into the wet season. And the wet season should be kicking in soon. Right? We haven't had it as of yet. It's a little delayed, but hopefully it'll be coming on. You don't want to get too dry in June because then the wildfire threat becomes very prolific. The worst wildfire years that we have in Central Florida is when we don't get a lot of rain through the month of June. We can kind of tolerate a relatively dry May, but you hope the sea breeze storms kick in late May or early June because you don't want it being the third week of June and not having a lot of rain here. By the way, 47-mile-an-hour wind at the Sanford Airport. So these are intense storms. And again, these severe thunderstorm warnings are absolutely warranted. These are rowdy storms, guys. 12 more minutes on our severe thunderstorm warning, but with the new report live here at Central Florida Weather Live from Sanford of a 47-mile-an-hour wind, the opportunity that we might see this extended about. And again, these storms are intense over the Lake Mary Sanford area. Deltona and then eventually Lake Helen would be those areas that would continue to be in this path. That being said, even areas slightly off towards the west might have to watch out for that. But again, look how intense this lightning is. Just so many lightning strikes. And I have, again, filtered out the weakest lightning strike. So I can filter this out by basically energy that it produces. Like literally I could query every lightning strike and the amount of energy it produces, but I'm also able to filter out some of this. But honestly, this is more lightning than at any one point in time today. To have this view show 220 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes really shows that the intensity of this storm over portions of Seminole County has only gotten more intense. Chuliota, Oviedo, 417 into Lake Mary. I wonder if the alligators in Lake Jessup are enjoying themselves. Probably not. Maybe they are. Altamont Springs, we're going to start to see the weather improve in places like Altamont Springs and Maitland, in Eatonville and Lockhart here over the next little bit. I'm going to put this into motion over the last half hour. Now you're going to see the tornado warning, but again, that's just the radar system showing you what's been happening over the last 30 minutes. Let me take myself off camera for a second because I'm going to get a drink of water, but you also see that there has been very little movement. This has basically become one huge conglomeration. Terry says, I didn't see or hear any hail. Well, that's good. 417, 434 near Winter Springs. Thanks, Terry. I appreciate the report. Look at that thing, guys. You take off, well, I'm not going to take off anything actually. But again, if I just take off the warnings and we just look at the radar, you can just clearly see. Do you also notice as well that the lightning hasn't really moved much in the last half hour? Look at these lightning cores. I mean, a Vito, UCF. That's a very intense storm. They cooled off the gators. Yeah, well, there's enough of them there at Lake Jessup, isn't there? My goodness. I used to actually live on the east side and would drive over Lake Jessup at night sometimes, and all you would just see are eyes staring back at you. But man, oh man, look at that. Really intense storm. And again, if you guys look at the top of your screen, it's the live lightning count. So what you're looking at is 30 minutes ago in this view, we only had, what, 75 lightning strikes? And now we have about 225. We've basically tripled the lightning. And Terry just said she's received a notice of power outages. And that will be the next situation here. I have a friend who says he was in a very strong wind event, Southport Fields in the 528 area. And I believe that is Lake Nona. He might be watching, and if you are, let me know. Because I think that's the Lake Nona area, right? Southport 528. You can almost see, guys, do you see just a little bit of a twist? I'm gonna bring myself back on camera. Did you just see how there's a little bit of an inflow into here? There certainly is some broad twist to this. That's the reflectivity. Let's bring on the velocity. Yeah, look at that. You can see that right there. Is that where Southport is, guys? I gotta be honest. If someone knows exactly where Southport Fields and 528 is, let me know. Yeah, Bethany, it has a lot of spin. And you can see that right here. This is probably the most spin I've seen. And again, guys, I worked in Oklahoma City for 7 years. And this was what I mainly did. I was the radar guy. I sat here and was live for 12, 14 hours at a time watching the radar and talking about these storms. It's just west of the airport. Okay, thanks, Noble Pills. Yeah, I thought it was a little bit closer to Lake Nona, but you can just see the intensity of that coming out of there. Yeah, okay. So, you know, this area here, but we can see all of that wind energy kind of sneaking up towards the 528 and even towards Bithlo right now. But yeah, we can certainly see, and the interesting thing again is on the northern side of this, you have one direction of wind because it's all one color, but that's very intense winds in Volusia County. And again, you're looking at the live reports out of the airport in Sanford there, up to 47-mile-an-hour winds. And you can see the winds there at the executive airport. And all of this is kind of twisting around. So there is some very broad rotation, definitely. And then you get these little spots to monitor as well. That was that one that I was watching just east of Titusville. Again, at this point in time, and let me just double check here. There's no tornado warnings. We'll bring back on the severe thunderstorm warnings, and we'll reset things as well. Sorry, wrong button. Special marine warning, you would imagine that that's going to be the case. So what we do have now for our friends in Brevard County and southern sides of Volusia is going to be a special weather statement. So now the Weather Service now things are beginning to play out as I expected, okay? So the most intense storms were moving almost due north. Now they're going to start to push farther east quicker. So now we have a special weather statement for Edgewater and Oak Hill and Mims and Titusville. Look, eventually this activity is going to make the coast, okay? The question is, at what form? Right now, it's a special weather statement rather than a severe thunderstorm warning, but still, heavy rains, 40-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-sized hail, northern Brevard, southern Volusia. What we hope to happen is, for our friends in the coastline, is that these storms wind down as far as intensity goes. But that being said, again, let me take off the special weather statements because they just overlap each other so much here. This severe thunderstorm warning goes for at least the next 5 minutes. And it really hasn't changed much in these areas. This is some extremely strong winds. Altamont Springs, Maitland. Yeah, Bethany says, hope the rotation keeps falling apart. One thing about it, Bethany, is that there's never any tight rotation out of this. Even with a tornado warning, when that was issued, I switched over to reflectivity or velocity right away, and I didn't see much. And it scared me for a second because I didn't see much. But the Weather Service saw some rotation to issue the warning. It was only radar indicated, and then we never really picked it up again. So that was good news. Potentially a very brief tornado right when they issued the warning, which is why they did it. But otherwise, it's been very broad. So there's a lot of wind energy, and there might be some downburst winds, but those are straight line. Downburst winds, they come down from the storm, they hit the ground, and they spread out in all different directions. Okay? And then you get the straight line winds that come along with that. But that's a possibility out of especially the leading edge here. So for Volusia County, right, in this area, this is where I would have the biggest concern for some of those stronger straight line winds. If I switch over to velocity, you can see right there. Now I know it's relatively rural area here, but we got some winds of 50 now. This is shooting up a bit in the atmosphere. That's not going to be as strong, relatively speaking, on the ground, but you get the idea in those brighter colors. And it gets a little bit more congested here as well. But again, stronger winds trying to push closer to the coastline. That's going to be the story. The winds in the Titusville area, they're not that strong. That's good news. Let's check out this cell though. Let's see here. Sorry about that. Let me just reset it again real quick. I keep hitting the wrong button. I don't know why I'm doing that. I have hot buttons, if you will, here, and I have no idea why. All right, now did the radar go away? Please come back on. All right, let's see here. There we go. Okay. Golly, look at all of that lightning, guys. Super, super intense. Again, there's almost too much here with the special weather statements. I'm going to take those off for now. So what's going to be interesting is this. The severe thunderstorm warning is going to expire at the top of the hour, okay? And then the big question is, will it be replaced with another severe thunderstorm warning, or are they going to go down to a special weather statement? That'll be the interestingest thing to see there out of that. Just looking at our cells here, and again, the intensity of those. Heavier rain near Lake Buena Vista and downtown in Azalea Park. There's a nice little cell that's also redeveloped, by the way, over Lake Apopka. It's decent. Let's see here, if the radar will cooperate and clear off the intensity. No, it's not. Unfortunately, my query tool is still showing the intensity here, but I don't want it to. That's all right. I'll reset it here in a second. But the first thing I want to do here, by the way, if you're just tuning in, is I want to see what they're going to do with this severe thunderstorm warning. The lightning is still absolutely prolific. Look at all that lightning here in Oviedo and Union Park. And again, when you're looking at my numbers as I'm querying, when you get up to 50 or higher on the DBZs, that's a very significant reflectivity number. And then the cells moving off towards the east, your special marine warnings as well. So as we get to the top of the hour here, let's see what happens, guys. More than likely, they're going to probably go special weather statement, and they already have with a couple of them. You see that this one goes for 30 minutes, but I'm just curious for the northern areas whether they're going to make this a severe thunderstorm warning as well. Yeah, so as you get closer to the coastline, Bethany, a weak funnel is possible. Remember, you have the friction difference between land and the ocean. So typically speaking, as these cells come offshore, they're going to come off with some inherent rotation with the smooth water relative to the rougher surface of the land. So we always see the possibility of having some brief rotation with the cells as they move offshore. That's absolutely possible as well. And Bethany's saying there's a ton of lightning as well with this as well. All right, guys, 1 second here. I'm going to reset the system. We've been putting it to work here for the last hour and a half. Going to give it a good little reset. As I'm doing so at the top of the hour, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for finding me again. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but I'm only going to come on when there's something to talk about. I'm not going to, cry wolf here on the channel. Got to be something to really discuss for me to jump on. So just letting the system reset here. When we work it as hard as we do every so often, it needs a good little reboot like any good computer. I'm going to bring back on some of my products here. Let's see, let's go over to the radar. And go into storm cell tracking mode, and we are good to go. Okay, so as of 8 o'clock, we do not have our severe thunderstorm warning anymore. That is good news. We hope that the intensity of these storms will go down as we get closer to sunset and beyond. So we've replaced the severe thunderstorm warnings with special weather statements. Now I want to be clear. The special weather statement is 5 miles an hour in wind speed below the severe thunderstorm criteria. So we're still talking about the opportunity of 55-mile-an-hour winds in Lake Mary, in Sanford, and Wekiva Springs, and the Apopka storm actually got a little bit stronger as well. We'll bring back on our wind gust data, so those will pop on. And you notice, Sanford's airport has now reported a 43-mile-an-hour wind. It's even stronger. So a decent cell over Apopka right there. Could be some small hail towards Apopka and Lockhart, in the 429, right? Kelly Park Road exit there. 429, there's Altamont Springs and Maitland. There's Castleberry, Goldenrod, all in this special weather statement. It does include downtown Orlando, 28-mile-an-hour wind gust. Union Park, again, a little cell there still, prompting the opportunity for some smaller hail. Now, one thing, obviously, when we're looking at our algorithms here on the radar, is you notice the hail size has come down. Again, about an hour ago, it was 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. Nothing that has been ground verified to be that big. But remember, with the severe thunderstorm warning that was last issued from the National Weather Service, they did have half-dollar sized hail as a possibility, 1.25 inch sized hail. Notice that the winds are also picking up in Brevard County right now. So there's not been a lot of rain here except for Titusville, but areas to the south. But now we're getting some winds of around 30 miles an hour near the Cape. Some storms are beginning to pop up right over the coastal waters. And again, as Bethany was talking about here, I found you on live trending. Fun fact. Thank you, Bethany. And that is really awesome to hear, by the way. So I appreciate that. And I hope you subscribe, Bethany. And please tell your friends about us as well and your family. Anyone you want to stay safe. Anyone you don't care about, that's up to you. But Mico and Palm Bay, scattered showers here in southern Brevard County. Not as intense, but again, it's picking up. Certainly, though, again, you can see what's happening here in Titusville and Mims. Let's go back over to the velocity product here. You know, again, there's some embedded, and we'll put this back into motion. I'm pretty sure putting this into motion is what screwed up this radar a little bit ago, but that's fine. Oh, well, I forgot that there we go. It's going to pick up all 30 minutes. It just takes a second here. There's so much data on this computer, but I love this thing. It does so well. And again, all I'm looking for here is what's going on with the winds. Still some pretty intense winds in southern Volusia County, like Osteen. And again, you notice that here's our push, right? So there's our special marine warning. There's our push. And there could be a little bit of rotation. Now, I don't see much right now. And the Weather Service is always going to be very vigilant, especially for boaters, because the boaters are so vulnerable being exposed like this, where they want to get that information out in a hurry, and they want to be very proactive, right? So they're going to talk about potential funnels coming out of this. And there is, a little bit of embedded weak rotation here, 28-mile-an-hour wind. But again, as that comes offshore, we can watch that. At this point in time, anything coming offshore so far looks okay. But again, pretty strong winds here, right here. So that's even east of Osteen. We'll see if that reaches I-95 or not. But you can see up to 47-mile-an-hour winds there, right through there. And by the way, guys, on the bottom of your screen, that's going to be the latest report coming out of your area here. Those updates in real time when we get new information. So you can look at that as well. And again, top of your screen will be the live time on my radar. Obviously, that's also at the bottom of your screen as well. Go back over to the broad perspective. Let's see. Flip it off, flip it back on. There we go. And then we get the live time to come back on. I'm up in Charleston, but half the in-laws live down in Orlando. Plus, you're a weather nerd. Hey, I love me the weather nerds, and I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. Again, a pretty intense storm still over downtown Orlando. It's not severe, but again, what's the benefit? We need this rain. I mean, we're desperate for that. Apopka, Lockhart, Altamont Springs, Maitland, Winter Springs, and Castleberry, all moving off here. If you've noticed, I haven't really put on a lot of tracks. It's extremely difficult to track a cluster of storms like this. When I get one area of concern, I can track it from there. And by the way, these storms are a little bit more intense off the Daytona Beach, New Smyrna areas, especially down towards New Smyrna and Ponce Inlet and Edgewater. Those are nastier storms, but now that we're at sunset anyway, I hope most boaters are indoors, or not indoors, or at least in port. But again, no severe storms as of yet. So the general trend will be two things. One, move off east. Two, hopefully rain themselves out. I expect there to hopefully be no pulse up of these additional cells, but we'll see how this plays out. Now again, we can do a lot of things here at Central Florida Weather Live. What can you do? So you ask. How about we, first of all, I should take off all of this. I know, I'll bring it back on in a second. Let's bring on our model. Not really sure why it's showing that late. Well, we must not have the 8 o'clock in yet. All right, so I'm looking at our high resolution rapid refresh model. This model updates hourly. It's a great tool to use when we're tracking live storms. Now, let's get to 8 o'clock, which is where we are right now. Again, what's the first thing I do? Is this model having a good handle on what's happening? It's a little bit too much with the storms in Osceola County. It's certainly developed the storms in Brevard County, and it's overall pretty good. A little too intense off to the south. But again, how does this play out? Well, at 9 o'clock, here's what I expect to happen. The core of the strongest storms moves east into northern Brevard and southern sides of Volusia County. That's what you see. Left behind is some energy with maybe not as intense, but still pretty prolific rain and lightning over the I-4 corridor, Altamont Springs and Orlando and Lake Buena Vista and potentially Windermere as well. Give it one more hour and we kick it all back through Brevard County, and then we're done by about 10, maybe 11 o'clock at the latest. Now, there's still some intense cells embedded within this on the model. You can see some of that, but hopefully staying just below severe thunderstorm criteria. So when I put this into motion, we can see how this plays out through 1 a.m. Again, everyone out west, you're fine. It's going to be the I-95 corridor for still some heavy rain and some lightning coming out of this as well. But hopefully raining itself out a bit, but we'll take the rain. We'll avoid the severe thunderstorms if we can. Jazz Zingo, how you doing, buddy? Says in Titusville, a lot of lightning and boom, boom, long time. First of all, I appreciate that description. Somewhat of my heart there. Boom, boom, long time. Yeah, a lot of lightning. There's no doubt about it. These have been pretty intense storms. So that's what the model is showing. So what I would say, Eastern Orange, Seminole, certainly Brevard County, still more activity to come. We'll try and rain ourselves out from west to east for the remainder of the night. All right, back over to the radar. Might take me 1 second here to put all that information back on, but not too long because I have a lot of presets as well. I think it did pretty good, actually. So special weather statement continues again for Orange County. I'm just going to double check a couple things here. We have a flood advisory as well. It's going to be for mainly Seminole County. Goes until 10:15 tonight. Just minor flooding of low-lying areas, but 2 to 3 inches of rain have fallen. And again, this part of the cell has not really moved. So it's not shocking that we've had 2 to 3 inches of rain. Another 1.5 inches are possible. Do not believe, I can show flash flood warnings here, but I don't think I can show you the advisories. But this is kind of a higher end intense kind of channel. I'll pass along the advisories, but obviously the flooding is not very widespread, but still 2 to 3 inches of rain already and maybe 1.5 inches more. So there's that storm going over Chuliota right now. Just one little cell there to pick up. There's the intense cell that we were talking about over Titusville and Mims. Now the most intense part of that is east of you, but the hail probability is still there. Not severe hail, and again, we've seen the hail size come down. That is good news. But the special weather statement does continue here until 8:30. And this special weather statement is southern Volusia, northern sides of Brevard County, including the Titusville Mims area. Let's see how far south it goes. I don't think it gets down to Rockledge. Is it Sharps? Nope. Sharps, Cocoa, Rockledge, just outside of that. Special weather statement again, same time frame, 8:30. University Park, Bithlo, Winter Park, Orlando, Altamont Springs, Lake Mary, Sanford, all of these areas. And boy, I got to tell you, man, Oviedo has been hit really hard today. Now the lightning is coming down, and this is another sign as well. Now there's still 113 lightning strikes in this view in the last 15 minutes. But about 15 minutes ago, that number was almost double. So as we're losing the heating of the day, we're going to start to lose some of the intensity of this as well. Let's check anything going on to the north. Had a cell move over Ormond Beach, more isolated in nature up in northern sides of Volusia County, but it's still there. As you would imagine, special marine warning is currently in effect. That's where really the nastiest storms are, and northern Brevard County as well. Pretty intense cell there. Let's go back over to our velocity product. There's some stronger winds, but I think the 40 is good. I think the 40 mile an hour from the Weather Service is spot on to what we can still see. And I'll bring back on, there's your 44. Okay, maybe 45. But you get the idea there, just east of Titusville. One of those METAR stations. There you go. Wind of 35, gust of 44. And that was at 8:03, so 10 minutes ago. So they report hourly, but they will do special updates. And so there's one at 8:03 for the 44 mile an hour wind gust. 29 there. And then at the Cape, we got 32. 21 mile an hour wind out of the southwest with a gust up to 32 miles an hour. Still some decent winds even in Stanford. 43 mile an hour wind last report at 7:56. Wasn't that long ago, just 20 minutes ago. 24 mile an hour wind out of the south with a wind gust of 43. And again, there's some clustered winds here. Nothing is very strong, but again, I believe, let's go back here. Who was saying that they had some power outage situation? Was that you, Terry? Yeah. Terry said she had a power outage report, and that's not out of the question. Certainly, we've had enough wind and lightning tonight to bring us that. Pretty intense winds, by the way, in far southeast of Volusia County. It is somewhat in the middle of nowhere. We'll see if that holds together and moves into far northern Brevard. Go back over to reflectivity. How's everyone doing tonight, by the way? I'm going to stretch my back out for a half second. We doing good? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for finding us here. 8:15 on this Thursday evening. And again, things ramped up in a hurry. I was monitoring it all day long, and I saw the Storm Prediction Center raised our threat to a 2 out of 5. That's the slight risk. And I knew more than likely I was going on. And then it was just how this all played out. Right now, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings, but earlier we did. As a matter of fact, if I take off the radar here and I bring on our composite, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to loop it over the last 2 hours so you can see the evolution of these storms. All right. First of all, the most intense part actually started off in southern sides of Osceola County, and then everything kind of congregated and merged to the north. And look at all of that. Look how when these cells came together. And by the way, too, I love this as well. I'm going to get rid of this, just the warning, so you guys can see it a little bit better here. But you can clearly see that a little bit earlier here. And by the way, I can put on the timestamp. So this was 6:55. Watch that cell come right over MCO with that 58 mile an hour wind. And so the cells out of Osceola County merged right over the southeast side of the city and then moved up. And it's great to see. You can see the most intense part, and then watch the wind go up there at the executive airport right as it comes by. And then this is when it got gangbusters and the lightning went crazy in Seminole County. Huge storms. Huge storms if you're just tuning in with that lightning. And again, over the last, look at the live lightning count over the last 15 minutes. About half in the last 15 minutes. Heat of the day. We lose the heat of the day, we lose that. But still, along the coastline, you got this 44 mile an hour wind. So there's still a few storms to have to monitor as far as that goes. But that's the evolution, guys, over the last 2 hours of these storms. They were really something. Out of Osceola County, developed right there in the eastern sides and central sides of Orange County, up through Seminole, portions of Volusia, and now moving back offshore. Again, western zones, quieter for today so far. We've needed this rain in a big way. We didn't want the severe weather that came along with it for today, and we hope that everyone got out of there unscathed. Again, we'll check the reports as far as any hail damage. Terry said that there was some reported not in her area, or reported in, not her, but reported in her area. And that's not shocking with the intensity of the storms over portions of Seminole and Orange counties for today. Just so much lightning that having a power outage issue might come along for the ride as well. We'll get back over to the live radar here. Still hitting the wrong button. I feel like I'm going to have to label this. Only push this button. Oh my goodness. All right, special weather statement continues for the next 10 minutes in both areas. Still 55 mile an hour winds, as far as the higher end. I don't think we're going to see that. But again, all you have to do is look at what was last reported out of the Stanford airport of 43, and that's still decent. Could a 43 mile an hour wind knock down a little bit of tree limbs, cause some more power problems? Absolutely. Still some heavy rain as well for Metro Orlando. Azalea Park, Union Park, it's still coming down pretty good. Pine Hills, Lockhart, south of Popka, still some lightning out of this as well. Castleberry and Altamont Springs and Winter Springs as well, towards University and Chuliota. Again, all this is kind of trying to move off towards the east, so what do you say we do a little track here? Bring on our old manual tracking, and we'll see if I've mastered this or not. So let's draw it out from this area here, and I went too far, but that's okay. And then we'll go out about 20 miles an hour. So these are some of the areas that could see additional heavier rain. Chuliota and Bithlo. We're getting obviously into the less populated areas of Orange County, into Seminole County. But again, some of the areas that could still see some of that intense rain. Now look, it's still raining pretty heavy even back towards south of Popka at this point in time as well. But those are some of the areas where it's not as intense right now that could still catch some of this most intense weather. And certainly, again, the northern sides of Brevard County as well. That cell just really isn't moving much right now. It's east of Titusville and Mims. It's obviously in some pretty unpopulated areas if there's anyone there. But of course, obviously a lot of government land. I know it's 3 up there. I believe there's a small area called Wilson. But other than that, you kind of get into the swamps and, you know, where we launch our rockets, a little bit south of there. There's the Cape, but we're reporting a 32-mile-an-hour wind there. The rest of Brevard County is certainly much more spotty. A little bit of rain down here, but nothing too significant. A lot of it is offshore. So I think we're looking better. I mean, there's still going to be some areas to monitor here over the next half hour, but we're beginning to break this apart. Everything is behaving. Everything is doing what I expected it to do, and that's to eventually push offshore. And again, that's really intense off of portions of the Volusia County coastline. Special marine warning is in effect. And again, these special weather statements, at least for the next 8 minutes as well. So again, if you guys are tuning in, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us here at Central Florida Weather Live. Thank you for liking this live stream. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel as well. I appreciate you. Again, haven't been on in a couple of weeks because I'm only on when there's really something to talk about here. So if you found the channel for the first time tonight, thank you so much for subscribing. Have the notifications on because you're not going to get bombarded with notifications here through Central Florida Weather Live. Only getting a notification when I am live, which means something is happening in Central Florida you need to cover. And again, being a digital channel here, guys, there's no geographic boundaries. We're covering all of Central Florida, west to east, north to south. Sure, I could cover everyone in the country, but we're dedicated here to Central Florida's weather and keeping you up to date. And of course, that will also include any tropical weather that comes our way. This rain is very, very beneficial right now. We need that. Matter of fact, because the storms are behaving a little bit, I'm going to keep an eye on those. Let's do a little something else here real quick. Give me 1 second. We're going to talk about how much rain we're going to see. Let me get rid of the lightning here. Now I got to go back and turn everything off. It's not the smartest thing. Well, you know what? Hang on. I can do this. Guess what? I'm going to zoom out again, but that's okay. And then let's see. There we go. Okay. Total precipitation is what you're looking at here, guys. But what I want to do is take this out farther in time to show you next week. Today's the 6th, right? Yes. So if I go 1 week out, this is what we could potentially see. This is the GFS model, but the European model, which is the 2 big global models, are very much similar. And try and plot on a few numbers here at a time. Sometimes it lets me do it. Sometimes it's finicky and says no. But you get the idea. it's going to get wetter. It's going to get wetter in Central Florida. This is total rainfall between now and next Thursday. But you can see there is a huge, huge plume of moisture coming out of the Northwest Caribbean, through the Straits, and then coming up. First of all, every model has South Florida with a ton of rain next week. The biggest question is, how far north does that heavier rain get? And on the GFS model, it encompasses most of our area with several inches of rain. My point is, we've been very dry, but thanks to some rich tropical moisture to our south, I expect us to get much wetter. Now, we're going to dry out again over the weekend, but we're going to pick it back up as we get into next week a lot. So, for those of you who've been waiting for the rain, it's coming, more than likely. Again, there's very high confidence for some significant rain in South Florida, including the Keys. And then the question is, how far north does that go? But just to expand this view out, what we're going to be watching for is some tropical moisture from the Northwest Caribbean moving up. Now, there could be the possibility of a disturbance. It's something that I'll be monitoring as well. It's not a high likelihood, but again, rich, deep tropical moisture is likely. So this is accumulations of rainfall between now and next Thursday on the GFS model, which brings into portions of Brevard and Osceola counties 7-8 inches of rain overall. So there you go. Even Orlando, around 3. I might be busy, Terry. Yeah, I might be. Again, if it's just rain, if it's flooding rains, I'll come on. If it's just rains, probably not. Obviously, if it's intense storms, I will be. If it's anything tropical in nature, you're darn right, I'll absolutely be on as well. But again, we can do this at Central Florida Weather Live as well. It's not a forecast channel. We're not going to be talking about the 5-day, here's your 5-day outlook. But when there is something to look ahead to for the next time I might see you, we can discuss this as well. So again, you can see what's on board. The weekend does look relatively quiet, but then the storms try and get going again as we get into next week. Let me see if I can clear those off. There we go. Perfect. All right. Back over to the radar. Going to throw back on any of the advisories that we have, and we'll see if these will expire. I'm hoping they do, because it does feel like everything's kind of winding down a bit right now, Altamont Springs, Winter Park, still raining very heavily, but as far as the opportunity for any more severe weather, looks like that is beginning to come to an end. Yep, all right. Just wanted to make sure I was on the right radar mode. Still picking up this one cell right there. That's crazy. Let's go back over to the winds. Just going to throw back on those. No. No. Get out of here. All right, hang on a second. $75-mile-an-hour wind? Come on. Are you serious? Give me 1 second. Do you guys, that cell, man, that was wasn't that an interesting feature? Like, we've been sitting here looking at it. I'm just trying to verify. There's no way it's a 75, right? Come on. All right, hang on. Okay. $25. Okay. What was that? Scared the bejesus out of me for a second is what it did. I knew not to bite into that one too hard, though, before I checked it out again. But I am curious as to why that popped the 75 on there briefly. Of course, I say that and watch it'll like update to something like that. I'm assuming no one has seen those kinds of winds, though, especially with the intensity of these things coming down. But that's why we always check to make sure. By the way, a little bit more rain is picked back up over the attractions. It's all really light in nature. The 417. And again, someone who I know and trust talked about very, very strong winds. Southport Fields in the 528 area. So there were some intense winds along with that. Again, nothing confirmed, but you get the idea of the activity that we saw. So these special weather statements are going to be going away here in the next few seconds. You can see those counting down. And then we'll see how this plays out from here, guys. These will fall off, and we'll see what the Weather Service wants to do. All right, so they're done. I've got my storm cell tracking mode on here on my radar. So let's go through these, guys. We'll start off north to south. First of all, most of the intensity has come offshore right now, Flagler County. Nice little cell back over Daytona Beach, LPGA Boulevard there. 26-mile-an-hour wind. Not severe, but some heavier rain if you live in Daytona Beach or Daytona Beach Shores, Holly Hill area. Down towards Port Orange, Wilbur by the Sea. That cell could be tracking to your area. And there actually is a little bit of a hail algorithm being picked up. It would be extremely small hail and very isolated in nature, but it's not a non-zero chance in that region. These little cells are just kind of popping up individually right now. They're not as intense, but Orange City and DeLand has another cell over that area. It's a little bit weaker west of DeLand. There's a cell over the 415. Sanford, Lake Mary, we're down to 30-mile-an-hour winds, but really that's still some pretty gusty winds. That last report was at 8:22, so we got ourselves just 8 minutes ago. Still a 30-mile-an-hour wind there. Not a lot of rain in that area, but man, again, it is still cats and dogs raining. Apopka, Altamont Springs, Lockhart. This is where the flood advisory is, by the way, guys. Okay, and that flood advisory, again, I believe goes until 10:15, and the bottom line is that flood-prone areas are probably flooded. Low-lying areas, you know where those are, poor drainage areas, they've got some water collected in them right now, okay? Ponding on roadways, if you have to get out and about through this area, and again, it's a lot of Metro Orlando we're talking about here, from downtown to the north, west and east, anywhere north of the 408, basically. Ponding on roads is going to be an issue as well. 2, 3, maybe even up to 4 inches of rain in a couple of spots. Weather Service feels like overall it could be 3 to 4.5 inches before it's all said and done. And again, even though the intensity is coming down, there's still some lightning. And by the way, you can see the flashes in real time, by the way. Those will pop up on your screen. That's the count over the last 15 minutes. So this is still a good intense core of heavy rain and some embedded lightning. It's not severe, but it's solid enough. Even downtown has a 28-mile-an-hour wind, 30 at OIA, 31 in Kissimmee. And then that lighter rain extends. Now it's getting to be a little bit lighter right now, back into Mims and Titusville. We have our special marine warning continuing as well. And when I zoom out, you can really see that we've pushed a lot of those intense lightning cells off towards the coastal waters and beyond. Have a little bit of rain in central and southern Brevard County near our radar site. Into portions of Indian River County. Osceola County got hammered earlier. A little bit better there. Lake Buena Vista, again, some rain, but not as intense. Let me get a quick sip of water here, guys, and not knock over my coffee cup. 24 in Leesburg. Really gusty winds, but again, I'm not expecting these storms to pick back up in intensity. They should be continuing to wind down now that we're past sunset and we've lost the heat of the day. But if you just tuned in, even had a tornado warning. Nothing was verified. This was mainly all straight line winds. But you can even see again, we're picking up heavy rain back into downtown Orlando. It just wouldn't be a great travel night in this spot. We'll take the beneficial rain, but obviously we don't want to have to deal with, some of the severe weather that came along with it. My biggest hope is that the lightning didn't spark off any wildfires. It's been dry. We haven't hit the peak of any true drought in Central Florida. But again, June can get to be the wildfire threat month if we don't start getting storms. So to see some of this activity in early June is actually a good thing, because the worst wildfire seasons are always when June is too dry. But if you just saw, I talked about how wet next week could be. Not over the weekend. The weekend looks pretty nice, an isolated storm or two. But starting early to mid next week, we could really start to see some rich tropical moisture move in from the south. Something I'll be monitoring very closely for you here at Central Florida Weather. There's Altamont Springs and Maitland and Lockhart, Winter Park, Oviedo. All real wet, guys. But again, I don't expect there to be any uptick in these storms now. So I'm just looking around. Let's take a look at the winds one more time real quickly. And put it into motion. It's an interesting product. We'll see that. So this is just the loop over the last half hour. And again, real strong winds in northern Brevard County, highlighted by those areas of brighter reds. Little congested wind over the metro. There's your radar site, so you're going to always have kind of funky data near there, but nothing that stands out. And again, these are our wind gusts being reported out of our METAR stations. So that is a verification of the winds that I can see here on the radar. There's some decent wind near Oak Hill, maybe some 40-mile-an-hour winds there. And then pushing off. But again, right now, we do not have anything in the way of a special weather statement or any severe weather. If you guys have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. I'm going to be wrapping up here pretty soon, but I'm happy to stay on for a minute and answer any questions you guys have about things, whether it's what's happening now or something in the future. And again, we kind of talked about, in general, next week being on the wetter side after the weekend. We'll see how tomorrow plays out. There's an opportunity. I might jump back on tomorrow with a few storms in the forecast, but nothing which looks like it's going to play out nearly as intense as that. As a matter of fact, let's see here. Let me get rid of the loop, first of all. I can bring on the storm prediction product here. This is for tomorrow, and we're just in the general green. I know I have a lot of other data on there, but you get the idea. We're just in the general green. And then for Saturday, it's the same situation. There's really nothing else here after that to be concerned about. Again, today, we were under that slight risk. And I gotta say, you give credit to the Storm Prediction Center, because where they put that slight risk is right where we had the most intense storms. And areas off towards the west were certainly quieter. So you give them their flowers, as they say. They had the area with the highest opportunity for severe weather pegged very, very nicely today. So give them props for that. All right, friends, I think we're going to be wrapping up the coverage here. Again, these storms should rain themselves out. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, you live in Altamont Springs, Maitland, Winter Park, Union Park, Baldwin Park, Azalea Park. Still could be some rowdy storms going on. I mean, you can see that the lightning is still here over downtown, but I don't expect them to become severe again. But still some very heavy rain and a lot of lightning. It's going to be a wet late Thursday evening for any revelers there in downtown Orlando. The heftiest storms have now moved offshore. There's still a decent cell over Port Orange. I mean, this one's not nothing. So if you live in this area, South Daytona, south of 92, there as you head towards A1A and US 1, Daytona Beach Shores, that would be a decent cell. Again, it's not severe. There's not actually a lot of lightning with that one as well. When I zoom in, you can see just one lightning strike. But some heftier rain and spotty showers have redeveloped with a few strokes of lightning there in portions of Volusia County. Might even see one more cell try and track back over the attractions. That one's going to try and rain itself out, but you get the idea. Friends, we'll do it for tonight. About 2+ hours of coverage. Again, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for liking this video, this live stream. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for supporting the channel in other ways you can find in the description if you choose to do so. Thank you for sharing this page with your family and friends. I appreciate you. Again, have the notifications on. You're not going to get bombarded with notifications because you're only going to get one when I go live, and I'm only going to go live when there's something to talk about here in Central Florida. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday. Whenever the storms pop up again, I'll be back on here. Until then, take care, and I'll see you soon. Yeah, that's the wrong button. Let's see. Oh no, did I do it to myself? There we go. Have a good one, friends. I'll see you later.